all of a sudden I realized, hang on, I've got to get down, because if I get stuck up here, if night falls, I can't move, because if I move, I could fall off a cliff. I've done a lot of hikes and just mountain climbs and stuff in Snowdonia. I absolutely love it. It's possibly my favorite place on earth.
Hey guys, and welcome to the show. I'm here today joined by the one and only GeoWizard, who is a little bit of an internet sensation, or I should say Tom from GeoWizard. He's a YouTuber and he makes mainly geography, travel and adventure-based content. Most recently having attempted to cross Wales in a straight line twice. I don't want to give too much away. We'll get into the interview, but yeah, and he's amassed almost 500,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So how are we doing, Tom?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah. How's your day been so far?
Not too bad. Chilled one today. Just catching up on some emails. Yeah. Stuck inside.
Recovered?
Sorry?
Have your toenails recovered?
Almost. I've had a bit of trouble. For those of you who don't know, both my big toenails dropped off. It's lovely content. But yeah, the right one was starting to burrow its way inwards. But it's it's on the right course now. So
right. Well,
thankfully.
I guess we should tell our viewers why exactly your feet have gotten into this predicament. So, Tom, the reason I got you on today is, of course, all our viewers are people who absolutely love North Wales, and you probably know North Wales in a kind of a different way, or from a different perspective than they might be familiar with, because of your recent second attempt of crossing Wales in a straight line.
Yeah.
So my first question is, like, how on earth did you come up with this idea?
Well, its roots, its foundations lay with these adventures that I used to do when I was kind of in my teens, when I was sort of as early as 13, 14, 15, into my late teens. Me and Welsh Greg, who I do the second attempt with, we just used to set off from my mum's house, which is in the West Midlands. She overlooked the countryside. We're on the edge of the West Midlands. And if you look out east, it was just fields. It was just, the Staffordshire countryside. So we used to just get really excited by the idea of just walking, not necessarily in a straight line, but just walking east and seeing what happened. And inevitably, something would always happen. We'd either have to cross a river, or we'd get chased by a farmer, or who knows, a dog, who knows what it might be. But we used to find so much excitement in just escaping and doing that. So that's, I guess, all of that hedge hopping and river wading that I did in my youth meant that I knew it was possible. I wasn't sure whether it would definitely be possible, but I knew that it might be, which is, I think a lot of people just wouldn't think it would be possible. So that was the foundations. And then I guess as I was getting older, I mean, I'm 29 now. I did it when I was 28, and I guess I was just really craving an adventure, but I wanted to do something that had never been done. And as far as I knew, this hadn't been done. So I just put the two and two together and thought, let's give this a bloody good go and see how far I can get.
So it's an adventure about 10 years in the making, really. When you were like 16 years old, you were just thinking, I wonder what it'd be like to cross the entire country in a straight line.
Well, no, I never considered it back then. But it's only as I got older, I was sort of looking on Google Earth and I thought, I wonder if this is possible. And I thought about doing England first, kind of up north where it's thin, near like Carlisle. But I figured, hang on a minute, that's too wide. It's like 65 miles wide. So I looked at Wales, and I'm very familiar with Wales. My dad's Welsh, albeit he's from South Wales. Boo. Yeah, I looked at Wales and I thought, actually, that's 35 miles as the crow flies at certain points, which I was quite surprised by. And I thought, yeah, this is, I mean, it'll be more beautiful. for a start. Let's do it.
Yeah. So when you were choosing North Wales, did you think, obviously North Wales is a very famous landscape. Were you familiar with, so you said you've been to North Wales throughout your life. Have you been to like Snowdonia and places like that?
Yeah, I've done a lot of hikes and just mountain climbs and stuff in Snowdonia. I absolutely love it. It's possibly my favorite place on earth, apart from kind of home. I love it. It's so mystical and wondrous and wild and just magical. I love Snowdonia. But this one was a little bit further south. The first attempt, it was kind of cut through the Arran Mountains, level with kind of Dolgethly. So
Yeah, I remember you saying that you were just on the southern cusp of Snowdonia.
Yeah.
When you got to that point. Why don't you walk us through that first attempt? What was it like? Did you know what you're getting yourself in for? Were you did you think that you had a good idea of how you should prepare?
I thought I did. I thought I'd prepared very, very well. But deep down, I kind of knew, hang on, some of this stuff I'm not going to be able to prepare for. And, that manifested itself straight away in the first mile. There'd been heavy rain for 3 or 4 days, and it was still raining. And the first river I got to, which, as I say, was less than a mile in, was just a raging torrent of, freezing cold water. And I got to it and I was like, oh my God, this is really dangerous. I kind of delved my way in, and I could tell that it was over 2 meters deep, and just, as I say, just moving really quick and freezing cold. And that just really humbled me. And I was like, I almost did it. I almost just went for it. But it would have been a really stupid idea. And I'm glad I didn't do that. So yeah, straight away, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be, that kind of knocked me for 6 a bit. But then I made some good progress. Then it was about farms. Farms were the main worry from that point on.
I want to say, just before we move on from the river, I'm sure everyone at home, because I know I was just like, mate, don't do it. Don't do
Really?
it. It was so wide and going so fast.
I know.
In North Wales, I think that's in summertime, or all the young people go and swim in the waterholes and the rivers and stuff. And like a lot of people do pass away, and it's really really bad, and it's a really really big issue actually. So I definitely made the right choice there.
Yeah. I think so. I'm always worried. I'm always like, oh, are people going to say that? Because people are used to watching Bear Grylls, aren't they? So what if they watch me and go, oh, what a pussy? But no, definitely you've got to use your head. Yeah, and if you're not sure, because I'm not exactly like a really seasoned adventurer. So if you're not sure, just don't do it, because it's not worth risking your life.
Yeah, words to live by, I guess. And yeah, so we want to go up to the next section. I'm sorry if any farmers of mid Wales are listening to this right now. But yeah, so can you just walk us through what the next challenge was? Your stealth mission section.
Yeah, so it then just became about farms, and obviously the hedgerows and barbed wire fences that kind of line them. And I like to be as respectful as I can. Farmers are generally lovely people, and if you're on their land, they don't mind. They'll just point you in the direction of the exit, in my experience. But that was the problem was with this mission, is I can't deviate obviously from this line by more than max, hopefully 25-50 meters. So yeah, it was very nerve-wracking, because every time I approached a farmstead, it was like, oh God, is there going to be a angry man? Is there going to be a dog in the farmyard? Do I run? Do I try and talk my way out of it? So it was a constant state of paranoia.
Yeah, I know. Those sections are some of the most entertaining as a viewer. I've got to say, it's like you play a stealth game like Splinter Cell or Assassin's Creed or something like that. Just like, sneaking past the watchtower, as it were. So yeah,
it makes it more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you take that to the next extreme in your next attempt, but we'll get to that, I guess.
Mm.
And then I suppose when you got to Lake Vyrnwy.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll elaborate on that. Yeah, that was obviously Lake Vyrnwy, sort of a mile wide, and I had to kind of cross it diagonally, and the wind was against me. I had an inflatable kayak, sort of cheap Chinese-made inflatable kayak. I didn't have a life jacket, which was silly, and the wind was blowing the waves kind of down the valley, down the lake. So I was just tackling these waves head on, and the wind was sort of blowing me back. And it's quite scary because I didn't have a life jacket. If a wave did sort of capsize me and the boat floated off, well, yeah, you can guess the rest. You know, it was icy cold waters. So I was very, very glad to reach the other side.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
When you paddled away, you're just like, oh God, oh God.
Yeah. It was one of them where I had to keep talking to myself, like, come on, you got this, you got this.
Yeah. I think like people really enjoy your narration as well. You've got a really good way of explaining where you are, what you're doing, what thoughts are going through your head, and making it entertaining as well. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to, I think because I love this sort of adventure, this mischievous kind of adventure, it's kind of what I've lived for really my whole life. And I like to think that if you're really passionate about something, you can find it in your head, the right words to say, and you can kind of convey to other people what's beautiful about that. And hopefully that comes through in the narration. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so after Lake Vyrnwy, is that the point where you got to, you started scraping along those southern mountains of Snowdonia?
Yeah. That's where ultimately it went pear-shaped in those mountains. Maybe they're passable on the line, but it was a bit of bad planning on my part. I thought I could go 12 miles in one day, which I could have done, but I got to a particularly gnarly section of mountain. I can't remember the name of the mountain now, but it's one of the bigger mountains in the Arran Range. And crucially, I'd arranged to meet a guy called Joey, a fan, a subscriber, who was going to restock me with food and GoPro batteries and things. I was going to meet him on the other side of the range. So when I got to this gnarly kind of steep section, it was starting to get to about 5 or 6. It was about 5:30 p.m. So it was starting to get dark, very early stages of dusk. And all of a sudden I realized, hang on, I've got to get down, because if I get stuck up here and night falls, if night falls, I can't move, because if I move, I could fall off a cliff. But because I had no phone signal or a radio to contact Joey, that would have been a really bad idea, because he would have thought that something would have gone wrong. So it was bad planning. I had to get down and use a farmer's phone and ring him, and it was all over. But, you know, better to be safe than sorry, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose by and large, you know, everyone that you came into contact with on your journey that I could see was really friendly and really helpful.
Yeah, no, it's true. The people of Wales are lovely people. What can I say? It's just, what if you get that one angry bloke or woman who, you know, is livid that you've, you know, climbed over his fence or on his land, you know, and all it takes is one person to spoil the party.
Going back to the hedge jumping, I've got to say, I've learned a trick or two from watching you traverse barbed wire fence and hedges.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you had a go?
No, not yet, but I'm keen to have a go soon. Because, you know,
Wow.
it's interesting because you make up little terminology for different kinds of hedges. You have like, oh, I'm going to knoblets. And then later on, like 3 videos later, it goes, okay, I'm just trying to prefer these knoblets now. It's like
knoblets.
a dictionary in your head of
we should make it into a sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Well, you could have races across a country, couldn't you? See, like you get two or
you could
see who could get there first.
Yeah, I'm thinking of doing something along those lines. Me versus Greg, perhaps. Maybe not a whole country, but definitely some sort of mission where we have to end up at a pub or some sort of target point, and we have to race each other there, but we can't go on roads. So that's one idea.
That'd be awesome, yeah, because the competitive aspect would just add a completely new dimension.
Yeah, true.
Absolutely. So, you know, you went home, you sorted yourself out, and then how many days was it before you came back to have another crack at the remaining section?
Yeah, I went home and I think I left it 4 or 5 days, and then I went back to the point where I failed, or just a bit afterwards, when it was sunny. The weather was completely different, and I just did that remaining 8 miles, which was all downhill pretty much, right down to the estuary at Penmine Pool. Yeah, and I finished it off, and you know, it was like, it felt good to know that, yeah, I could have done it, you know, if it weren't for a bit of bad planning.
I get that feeling both attempts. Basically, it's like you've come so close both times, and I feel like it's just about these certain circumstances that you're not sure if you weren't sure you had to plan for, or you didn't. And it wasn't until you came up to that problem where you thought, actually, if I knew what I know now, I would have been able to deal with that. And
yeah, it's all a learning curve, you know. And as I say, I'm not someone who could, not like an experienced proper explorer. Like I don't think I could tackle Everest or walk through the Amazon. You know, I'd almost definitely die. So it was a good choice to stay local. But coming up next, hopefully, all being well, if I can get into the country during these times, will be Norway, which sounds more mountainous and more dangerous. But hopefully the route I've picked will be possible.
Well, you're a geography whiz, and I'm sure you spend more time on Google Earth and Google Maps than 90% of people. So have you got an idea of how the terrain's going to be in Norway?
I don't want to give too much away, but it's not going to be a case of farmers. It's just going to be wild wilderness. There's going to be a few crevices and ravines and things. It's going to be a massive reservoir that I have to kayak across. But I've got this guy who's donating a kayak, letting me borrow it. Yeah, there'll be a set of different challenges for sure. Again, I've just got to make sure, don't climb up anything that's too, don't put my life at risk. If it's too dangerous, go round, basically. That's going to be my philosophy, because I want to come home in one piece.
When I was watching, because you announced that on the last video of the second attempt, which I just want to go over quickly in a minute. And I wasn't sure if you'd actually done it yet. I was like, has he edited this a few weeks ago and he's in Norway now? Or like, when is it you go to Norway?
Hopefully mid-August.
Oh, right.
Just need a good weather window. And because with Norway, especially where I'm doing it, it'll be light the whole time. It'll be light all throughout the night. So that'll be interesting.
Wow. So going back to the second attempt of the crossing. Okay, so you went a little bit further south. I'm not sure if this is outside of the North Wales jurisdiction now.
I would have thought so, because it's level with Aberystwyth, so it's definitely mid Wales.
Yeah.
Whether it's on your half, I don't know.
we share photos of across North Wales basically, and we kind of go as far south as we can, so we can get all like the good pictures and the good locations. When people go, okay, you're having a laugh now, that's not North Wales.
What would Aberystwyth? Have you gone that far south before?
Yeah, I think that's the cut-off point. That's like the middle, isn't it? Like if you have to
exactly. Exactly. Well, the second attempt straddled that cut-off point then, for sure.
We'll have it then. So this is a shorter episode series. I really want people to go away and watch this, because it's amazingly exciting, and it's a really fantastically put together content. So what was different this time?
quite a few things. I was with Welsh Greg, who I had done an adventure with in Europe in the summer, which was a real success, called How Not to Travel Europe. And obviously, because Greg was my historical partner in adventure from when I was a kid, it was just the natural course that he should join me and ply his trade at a fully blown straight line mission. So there was that, but he had a diagnosis of a rare disease called Addison's disease, which stunts your ability to produce cortisol, which I hadn't heard of, to be honest. So ignorant I was of kind of the human body, but basically without cortisol, you just don't function properly. You get weak, you get tired, you get in a low mood, and if it's untreated, you can die. So he had that diagnosis. So it was a bit touch and go, but he'd had his medication. He was feeling better than ever. He was fit as he's ever been. So we set off, and he did great. We both did great. It was a really great mission. But in the end, that came home to roost. Greg ended up having a minor Addisonian crisis in the middle of a remote wooded valley, which was pretty scary because we were in the worst possible place to get medical help from an ambulance or anything. So it's quite scary, but he was fine in the end. But basically he should have been double dosing and eating more food the whole time. But it's a learning curve again, and he'll know for next time the correct amounts to be taken, and hopefully we can conquer Wales again together one day and hopefully succeed.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That was going to be one of my questions. That, are you planning on coming back to Wales? Are you going to leave us hanging like that?
God, no, I can't leave you hanging. I can't leave that undone. Got to put it to bed one day. It probably won't be for a couple of years because there's lots of other countries I'd like to try and conquer, so to speak. Got Norway, Luxembourg, and Scotland in the pipeline. But one day I've got to come back and hopefully get across Wales. Hopefully be the first person to do it. I don't know.
Fantastic. While I was in the comments, and someone commented saying that on that day more people had Googled Addisonian crisis than ever before.
Oh God, really?
Yeah, that's what I read anyway. I didn't check it myself. Probably should have done this for preparing.
Yeah, no, I can well believe that. Yeah, because it's not a very nobody really knows about it. It's quite a rare disease, but it's quite inhibiting. But it's one that you can live with. It's one that some athletes have it. They just have to double dose and eat certain foods and drink lots of water. So, Greg's a really determined, brave guy, and he's not going to let this control his life, and he still wants to be as active as he can be. So yeah,
fantastic to hear. And I've got to say, I enjoyed your adventures with Welsh Greg across Europe as well.
Oh, did you catch that?
How Not to Travel Europe. I loved it, and I liked it as much as the mission across Wales, I reckon.
Brilliant.
I thought it was really inspiring as well. I think more people should take that approach to traveling,
Yeah, it really did open our eyes to how kind and generous and accommodating people are, especially when you get into the countryside and into the mountains and out of the cities. People, even in cities, but we noticed that people in the the remote places were just so hospitable and so friendly and so keen to hear about our travels and give us again, we won't ruin it, but yeah, I mean, we had one guy let us sleep in his camper van for the night because it was about to rain. He was like, "You can sleep in my camper van," and his mother cooked us a meal with like all the fresh food that they'd grown in their garden. Yeah, it was heartwarming stuff, really inspirational.
Yeah, and you set yourself some challenges to complete along the way, which I thought was a great idea. Like, when was it that you shot this video?
Last summer in August. Summer. Yeah. So sorry, carry on.
This is before you started your because for those of you who don't know, Tom got his start as a gaming channel kind of thing, because
Yeah.
the reason why you called GeoWizard is because you, or maybe you want to explain it.
No, yeah, GeoWizard. It was a derivation, that word from GeoGuessr wizard, and so the game was GeoGuessr. For those who haven't played it, it's like an online geography game. If you love geography, you've got to play it. Where you're dumped somewhere in the world on Google Street View, and you have to move around and figure out where you are, judging by any clues or signs that you may find. Yeah, and as you say, that's how I built my channel, on that game, because at one point in my life, I just had way too much free time, and I was just playing that game all the time and got really good at it.
So did you like it because you were good at it, or did you get good at it because you liked it?
Well, I've always loved geography and maps and things, so I got good at it just because of my love for that. Yeah, it was like the game was made for me. I loved it. But yeah, definitely the amount of free time I had. I was working at a pub in the night, so in the day I was just like hell bent on getting a perfect score in the quickest time possible. And then I just went on YouTube, and I was like, I wonder if anyone's uploaded a video of them getting a perfect score in a good time. And I figured, no, there's no videos on here, so I'll be the first one. So hopefully I saw the opportunity to maybe start up a channel and maybe earn a bit of money doing something that I love.
Amazing. And now I'm sure you've got some sort of superhuman skill of being able to know a country just by the surroundings that you can see.
Yeah, I guess I've built that up from just playing it for so many hours. Yeah.
I don't watch too much of this particular kind of video, but my friend does, and he says you look at stuff like the position of the shadows and
yeah,
all stuff that I never would have thought that you could tell where someone was from that.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, position of the shadows. If you've got a lamppost and it's casting a shadow southwards, then the sun must be in the north, and if the sun's in the north, you're in the southern hemisphere, or vice versa.
There you go. I've learned today. And another thing I love about this is you integrated this with your adventuring content, and you've done this real life GeoGuessr.
Yes. I actually went to North Wales for that.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to say? Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. So in this challenge, you're blindfolded, and then your girlfriend drops you somewhere on the British Isles, unbeknownst to you, and then you have to work out where you are without any phone or anything.
Yeah. I have my phone right at the end to put my marker down, but yeah, that's it. I just have to look around. Can't speak to anyone. But yeah, she dropped me. I mean, it's not very pleasant because I get quite car sick sometimes if I don't look out the window.
Yeah.
And so it's not nice sitting there for 3 hours blindfolded, feeling a bit car sick. But yeah, it's good fun. She dropped me on a back street, not a back street. She dropped me on a country lane near Rill. I'm sure it was Rill. So that was good fun. And I sort of missioned my way across the fields and ended up at this primary school in Rill. And madly enough, this local girl asked me for directions in that very moment. I was like, you're not going to believe this, but I don't actually know where I am. So
amazing. Yeah, I'll link that in the description of this so people can check that out. Yeah, amazing. What was it like going because obviously you built up this viewer base on GeoWizard from GeoGuessr content, but when you released that Mission Across Wales Volume 1, Episode 1, it showed up on the trending page just after it had been uploaded for me. So it already had a ton of views. So I just thought, this guy must be like over the moon right now because his video has been picked up by YouTube and he's going viral.
Yeah, it was. Even the most optimistic part of me, because I have a very optimistic part of me and a very pessimistic part, even the optimistic person in me couldn't have anticipated that many views and that much love for the series. what happened was, as you say, the YouTube algorithm really picked up on it, because for those of you who are interested in sort of how it works, I had 60,000 subscribers at that point who had never seen me, because all they'd ever seen is me playing GeoGuessr. So they were interested to see what I looked like and whatnot, and how I acted on camera. And I'd built this thing up. I've told them, look, I'm going to walk across Wales in a straight line. You know, it's going to be released on this date. So they're all excited for it, and they all watched it all the way through, pretty much. You know, 30 minutes, and they all watched it all the way through. And what the YouTube algorithm does is it picks up on that, and it goes, oh, this video has got a 95% retention rate or whatever, and it's been watched by 60,000 people, and they've all watched it all the way through. It must be amazing or whatever. So they'll put it on people's recommended. And yeah, I've had people say, you know, my friend in Australia was recommended this, and he messaged me because I'm from Wales, and I was like, yep, that's my friend. You know, crazy stories like that. Yeah.
Amazing. So, I mean, yeah, because when I'm watching YouTube videos, sometimes I'll be like, oh, like it's 40 minutes long. I'll just skip through it, and hopefully I get the general gist of it. But your stuff, I just watch the whole thing, because it's so interesting, and it's so immersive. And I think that right now, I know that YouTube, it favors long content instead of like short content.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who like uploaded like 2-minute videos and stuff, because they weren't getting that many views anymore, and everyone's making these longer content videos. But
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of channels like you who create this really raw travel content where it's just them and a GoPro, and people respond to it really well, but also it lends itself really naturally to this format. So
I know what you mean. And that's why I was very conscious of, if I'm going to do a travel series, I really wanted it to be different. And I just think I got lucky in the sense that this idea is just a very fresh idea. And I think it grabbed people's eye. Oh, I wonder what would happen if someone did walk, you know, in a straight line. And I think it just grabbed people's curiosity, really. But yeah.
Totally. What was it like having that massive growth? Like, obviously you had a community, but now your community is considerably bigger than that. You know, do you feel added pressure, or like, do you feel obviously that has opportunities to offer in itself? What's it like?
Yeah, it's been amazing, and I've been constantly trying not to take it for granted, because, you know, in 3 or 4 years' time, it might all just go. So yeah, I'm really trying to enjoy it. It's been amazing. I've had lots of offers to do, you know, certain things, from adverts to, you know, other projects.
Wow.
Some of which I'm doing, some not. But yeah, it's been a fantastic, surreal experience. But no, I don't really feel any more pressure. I'm just really, really happy to be able to do something that I love. You know, these types of adventures that I feel so strongly about because I did them growing up. And just to have people message me saying like, oh, you've inspired me to go out and do my own sort of adventure, is just it makes me really happy, and I just need to relish it as much as I can.
We have a lot of creators who contribute towards our platform, and as someone who's achieved this amazing success in a relatively short space of time, I'm just wondering to if you had any advice for people who might be trying to do something similar to you, or just any kind of online platform or any kind of online content.
People advising me, or people asking for my advice? Sorry.
I'm asking for your advice for, if we have a lot of creators that we kind of working with across North Wales who shoot stuff in Snowdonia or Anglesey or whatever, and you know, maybe photographers or videographers or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, what's your like one piece of advice that you give to those people?
Do what you love doing. Whatever you feel passionate about, I think you need that. So that's a key ingredient. If you are kind of presenting and talking, you know, just try and be as likable and as approachable and confident as you can. I always like to try and make them laugh. I think that's a good ploy, but that's just specific to what I'm doing, really. What Well, no, that's not true, but it might not apply if you're a photographer. But yeah, just keep working hard, do what you love. And if you can find a little gap in the market, something that's kind of you think hasn't really been done, then, you know, capitalize on that.
I think that's a really great note to finish on. I'd like to thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Personally, as a fan, it's been a great pleasure to talk to you face to face.
Thanks.
Any closing remarks?
Closing remarks. God, this is where I meant to like plug something, isn't it? No,
yeah,
just
I think so. Yeah, that's the done thing, isn't it?
No, I'm not going to plug anything. I'm just going to say, well, obviously all the videos will be in the description. But I would like to just say, I guess, if I learned something from these adventures, was just to put yourself outside your comfort zone. That doesn't mean necessarily like, you know, do something really dangerous, but just something that scares you. And, you know, I guess if there is an obstacle in your way, you know, just tackle it head on. Don't skirt around it. Just go straight through it, and you'll feel much prouder about yourself and much more sort of content with yourself. And ultimately, you'll be happier, I guess. So yeah, go out there, do adventures, put yourself out your comfort zone. Go on a hike in the Snowdonia Mountains, get soaking wet, freezing cold, and then get back to that nice toasty log fire, and you'll feel much more alive than you did before.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Tom. I think that's a really great metaphor. As you know, you came up to many obstacles along your way, and you literally just hopped right over it. So
yeah, as long as they weren't life-threatening. Yeah, be safe.
All right then. Thanks, Tom. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.